Hey, I'm Nathan from natesminiatures, and I wanted to show you the processes I went through to digitally sculpt and print out my first printed terrain piece. For those who don't know me, I make terrain for your Wargaming table dioramas and dabble in digital sculpting that I usually focus on in the world of Warhammer, fantasy and 40k. If this interests you at all, please consider hitting the subscribe button along with the bell to keep up to date with the projects I am working on. This whole project started when I was approached by One Page Rules. They asked me if I would be interested in working with them on a project. Before saying yes, a little research was needed. Turns out they have a Patreon dedicated to fantasy and sci-fi miniatures, and they also took the time to create their own rule sets. So I ended up watching a few videos of the game in action, and it looked fun. Over at Wyloch's Armory's YouTube channel, he had an impressive amount of content on their rules with very detailed how to play guides. It was well worth the time checking it out. So I will put the link in the description down below for his channel so you can check it out later, after this video of course. I replied letting One Page Rules know I would love to do a project with them. Turns out they enjoyed my terrain builds and wanted to know if I would like to make something themed around one of their miniature lines. Their mummified undead range reminded me of classic Warhammer Fantasy Tomb Kings, and since the original Tomb Kings models are very expensive these days, it was an easy choice. So I got to work on some modelling for the build. My line of thinking was some foolish adventurers went deep into the tombs to plunder the riches, not realising what they had awakened. I wanted a tomb entrance, one of many, where the undead guards would pour out in defense of their king. I thought the natural thing would be to build this out of foam. I mean, how hard could it be to put four sides together? Well, for me, it just did not go as planned. I tried carving textures in at first. That wasn't working for me. Then I moved on to placing foam bricks, and still it just wasn't working out. Finally, I had been wanting to try plastering a terrain piece, then carving the textures into it for a while now. This looked promising, left it overnight, and then the next day got my sander out to smooth it out as much as I could. But after that, I also didn't like what I was getting. I was just about to throw this whole build away. Then I had remembered I had done a mock-up build in Tinkercad. I had sculpted my first mini before, which you can check out right here. Why not just bring this model into ZBrush and finish the details there? I am telling you, I am very happy that I did this, mainly because I was enjoying the process again. I had a few hiccups with my resin printer. It was way too small to print this out. Unless I cut the file into smaller pieces, it wasn't going to work. Also, after printing all these mummified undead minis out, the LCD screen finally gave out, so I had no choice. I looked at my Ender 5 Plus FDM printer for this one. Yeah, I will lose some details compared to printing it in pieces on the resin printer, but honestly, I had to get this project done. I had no other choice. After a few teething issues getting the printer started, it was finally done, and it doesn't look that bad. The hieroglyphics didn't come out in the best of details, but after seeing something you had sculpted in real space, it was kind of amazing. When deciding on painting, I always had in mind some kind of glow effect that would represent the magic allowing these undead to rise from their tomb. So I went with a blue undertone, also applying this to the tomb itself. I think it worked in my head. After applying it though, just did not look right. This is what happens when you don't paint any minis for a long period of time. You're just everywhere. That was not the end of it. I mixed Minotaur ghost tints together in a hope to get a nice yellow base over the blue undertone. Terrible idea, but fixed it easily. Instead I went with a sandy color and airbrushed that. Time to put this together. Using the Gorilla Glue to place the tomb down on the MDF base, repeated this on the pillars. I had also sculpted in ZBrush, and I think I forgot to mention that, sorry. By the way, if you want to build this yourself, I have made these files free to download over at my mini factory. Download link will be in the description below. Have at it. With everything in place, I got stuck into some sculptor mold. I am not sure what it is, but laying this stuff down is just pure fun. Alright, with that part out of the way, time to get stuck in with the airbrush. My thought was, if I cover the base with a sandy color, then even if I stuff up with the sand material, I would be able to hide it easier. Let's be honest, most of this was not planned. I think I winged it after the plaster did not work on the foam in the way that I wanted. Time to slap on some PVA glue. Fairly easy, just got an old brush to make sure I got it everywhere for the sand to stick. The sand I am actually using is just tile grout in beige color. I wanted it to be super fine, so I did not add anything extra to it. You can pick this stuff up at your local hardware store, usually really cheap. This one from memory set me back around, I think, at $8. This tomb entrance has been here for thousands of years, so I wanted it to be covered even on top of the pillars. Thank you very much to Open Page Rules for letting me get out of my comfort zone and try my hand at overcoming my own personal obstacles. If you have enjoyed this content, consider liking, subscribing and commenting. It all helps this channel grow. This video was made possible thanks to my Patreon members: Rum Junkie, Ducasino, Mark Mikonachi, Lewis McDermott and Jamie B. If you would like to help out with materials for builds in the future, head on over to the Patreon page where you can select a tier of support. Thank you all, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers guys.